Friends, if you want to watch the super hit animated movie Frozen 2 in English, then you should definitely like this video. If you are visiting our channel for the very first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel because here we bring you exciting information, in-depth reviews, and all the fascinating details about your favorite movies. Today's video is all about Frozen 2, one of the most magical, adventurous, and visually stunning films in recent times. In this video, we are going to explore every corner of this enchanting movie. We will talk about what Frozen 2 is, why this movie became so popular around the world, and what makes it a must-watch for fans of all ages. We will also discuss where you can watch Frozen 2 right now, whether it is available on any OTT platforms or satellite channels, and how you can access it to enjoy this magical journey. I will also share some very interesting behind-the-scenes facts, including how the film was made, what challenges the creators faced during production, and the incredible work done by the talented team in the technical and music departments. From pre-production to filming and post-production, every stage of Frozen 2 was carefully crafted to deliver a beautiful cinematic experience. We will also take a detailed look at the film's budget and its massive box office collection, which broke records and captured the hearts of audiences worldwide. Not only this, but I will also tell you the complete story of Frozen 2 in a simple and enjoyable way, and I will share a small review of the storyline that will help you understand what to expect when you watch the film. We will dive into the characters and talk about the wonderful performances of the voice actors, who brought Elsa, Anna, Kristoff, Olaf, and all the other magical characters to life. You will find out which actor gave voice to which character, and how their performances added depth and emotion to the film. Along the way, I will also share some amazing facts and surprising details that even big fans of Frozen 2 might not know. Whether it's the story behind the songs, the hidden messages in the film, or the incredible amount of detail in the animation, we will cover it all. So friends, I request you to stay with me till the end of the video because this is going to be an exciting and enjoyable ride full of information, surprises, and lots of fun. So let's not waste any more time and start the video. Frozen 2 is not just a simple continuation of the first movie. It's a bold, magical, and emotionally rich adventure that dares to explore deeper questions and lead its characters into completely new territories. The story opens in the peaceful kingdom of Arendelle, where life seems calm and happy. Elsa is now comfortably ruling as queen. Anna is enjoying life with Kristoff, Olaf, and Sven, and everything appears to be in perfect order. But beneath this calm, something mysterious is beginning to stir. Elsa starts to hear a strange, distant voice that seems to be calling her. No one else can hear it, but Elsa feels its pull growing stronger every day. This mysterious voice becomes the spark that sets the entire adventure in motion. The film does not follow a strict linear path. It layers the present with flashbacks to Elsa and Anna's childhood, stories from their parents, and legends that hint at hidden parts of their family's history. The story moves fluidly between past and present, slowly revealing that the history they've been told is not the complete truth. We learn about an enchanted forest, sealed off by a thick, magical mist where a long-forgotten battle took place between the people of Arendelle and the Northuldra tribe. This event holds the key to the mystery that Elsa is desperate to solve. Early in their journey, Elsa, Anna, Kristoff, Olaf, and Sven bravely enter the enchanted forest, where they encounter the magical spirits of earth, air, fire, and water. Each spirit brings its own challenges and dangers, pushing the group to rely on their strengths and their bonds. Kristoff's subplot is filled with humor and awkward moments as he repeatedly tries, and fails, to propose to Anna in the middle of all this chaos. Olaf, on the other hand, is on a journey of his own. His curiosity leads him to ask big questions about life, change, and growing up, adding layers of both comedy and surprising wisdom to the narrative. One of the story's major turning points is when Elsa realizes that the answer she seeks cannot be found by traveling with her friends. She decides to continue the journey alone, driven by a sense that this is something she must face by herself. She crosses the dark sea in a breathtaking and intense sequence, fighting against the powerful water spirit, the Knock, which tests her bravery and determination. Elsa's solo journey leads her to Idina, a mythical river said to hold the memories of the past. This is where the story takes a deeper, almost dreamlike turn, as Elsa pieces together the truth about the origins of her magical powers. In Hallen, Elsa uncovers that the voice calling to her all along is connected to her own mother, and that she herself is the fifth spirit, the bridge between the magical world and the human world. This moment is not just about Elsa learning where her powers come from. It's about her accepting who she really is and understanding her purpose. It's a powerful shift in the story, moving Elsa from someone seeking answers to someone who now knows she is the answer. While Elsa faces this revelation, Anna is left believing she has lost her sister. Crushed by grief, Anna finds herself in a dark place. Yet this is where her strength shines the brightest. Guided by her love for Elsa and her determination to do what's right, Anna makes the difficult decision to break the dam that has trapped the enchanted forest in conflict for so long. Her brave choice risks everything, including the safety of Arendelle, but it's a crucial step in healing the damage caused by the past. It's not a grand magical moment. It's a choice that comes from courage, responsibility, and trust in doing the right thing, even when it's painful. The story keeps weaving personal growth with grand adventure. Kristoff finally finds his moment to express his love for Anna in a way that is patient, respectful, and supportive, showing that real love is about being there when you're needed most. Olaf's journey is equally touching, as he comes to understand that change is a part of life, even though it can be confusing and scary. His questions about growing older, and about what never changes add unexpected emotional depth to the story's lighter moments. What makes Frozen 2 truly special is how it plays with expectations. There is no traditional villain. The enemy here is not a single person, but the weight of history, the consequences of old mistakes, and the challenge of facing uncomfortable truths. The movie's structure is carefully built, with each discovery leading to another, and every step forward revealing a piece of the puzzle. The past and present collide, magic and reality blend, and personal destiny shapes the fate of an entire kingdom. The story does not unfold like a simple fairy tale. It dances between moments of intense action, quiet reflection, playful humor, and emotional honesty. The journey is not just about saving Arendelle or discovering magical secrets. It's about Elsa and Anna finding their places in the world and realizing that even as life changes, their bond as sisters remains unbreakable. Each turning point pulls the audience deeper into their world, and the story keeps delivering fresh, surprising moments right until the end. In Frozen 2, the narrative invites the audience to question what they've been told, to embrace growth and change, and to find courage in the face of the unknown. It's a story that stretches across time, guided by memory, family, and the voices that call us to discover who we are truly meant to be. In Frozen 2, the characters are not just continuing an adventure. They are stepping into new emotional territory that challenges who they are and forces them to grow in ways they never expected. The film does not treat its characters like simple heroes on a quest. It pushes them to confront their deepest fears, to question their beliefs, and to make difficult choices that truly shape their identities. Every step of their journey reveals new layers to their personalities and brings out hidden strengths and vulnerabilities. Elsa's character development is one of the most powerful elements of the story. In the first film, her entire struggle was about learning to control her powers and finding the courage to be herself in a world that feared her. But in Frozen 2, the question is much bigger. Where do her powers come from, and what is she truly meant to do? From the very beginning, Elsa feels restless, as though she no longer fits into the life she has built in Arendelle. She hears a mysterious voice that calls to her, a voice that seems to come from a distant place beyond the known world. This isn't just curiosity, it's a deep, emotional pull toward discovering who she really is. Elsa's journey is a journey toward freedom, not from other people, but from the limits she has placed on herself. She has to step outside of the safety of her home and the expectations of her role as queen to fully understand her own identity. Her moment in Hallen, when she discovers that she is the fifth spirit, the bridge between the magical and human worlds, is not just a plot twist. It is the moment she finally claims her place in the world, not as someone who needs to fit in, but as someone who creates balance. Her transformation is quiet, but incredibly powerful. She learns that being true to herself may mean letting go of the life she thought she was supposed to have, and stepping into the one she was destined to live. Anna's development is equally rich and emotional. In the first film, Anna's main drive was to reconnect with Elsa and protect their bond. In Frozen 2, she still holds on to that connection, but now she must face the terrifying possibility of losing Elsa, not to distance or fear, but to destiny itself. Anna's journey forces her to become more independent. She has always been the one to believe in love, to fight for her family, but now she is called to lead, to make difficult choices even when her heart is broken. Her most defining moment comes when she believes Elsa is gone. Instead of giving up, Anna finds the strength to push forward, to break the dam that holds back the enchanted forest, even though it means risking the kingdom she loves. This decision is not just brave, it's deeply personal. Anna learns that doing the right thing sometimes means making painful sacrifices, and that true leadership comes from putting the good of others before your own comfort. Her growth turns her into a leader who stands on her own, not just as Elsa's sister, but as a person with her own strength and purpose. Kristoff's development may seem lighter compared to Elsa and Anna's emotional journeys, but his arc brings an important perspective on love and relationships. Throughout the film, Kristoff struggles to find the perfect way to propose to Anna. His attempts keep getting interrupted, leading to moments of comedy, but underneath all of it, Kristoff's story is about realizing that love is not about perfect timing or grand gestures. It's about being there when it really matters. His most important moment is not a proposal. It's when he shows up for Anna at her lowest point and offers his quiet, unwavering support. Kristoff grows from someone who feels left out of the sisters' bond to someone who finds his own way to support the people he loves. His relationship with Anna becomes more real, grounded in mutual trust and respect rather than flashy moments. Olaf, the cheerful snowman who seems like pure comic relief, actually experiences one of the most touching arcs in the film. Olaf is deeply curious about the world, and in Frozen 2, he is especially fascinated with the idea of growing up and change. He asks big questions that many adults don't even dare to ask. What happens as we get older? Why does everything have to change? He wants to understand life, and his curiosity leads to some of the film's most memorable moments. Olaf's journey is about learning to live with uncertainty. He doesn't find all the answers, but he learns that what matters most is having people you can rely on through the changes. Olaf's playful, innocent view of life gently carries some of the film's deepest lessons, and his growth makes his character far more than just the funny sidekick. The relationships between these characters drive the heart of the story. Elsa and Anna's bond is the emotional core, but it evolves in this film. They are no longer just sisters trying to reconnect. They are sisters learning how to support each other, while following different paths. Elsa realizes she cannot always protect Anna by keeping her close, and Anna understands she must trust Elsa to follow her own calling. Their love remains strong, but it grows into something more mature and respectful of their individual journeys. Kristoff and Anna's relationship matures as well. Instead of focusing on the fairy tale version of romance, the story shows that love is about patience, understanding, and being willing to let your partner shine. Olaf's relationship with both sisters deepens as well. He is no longer just the cheerful companion. He becomes a source of comfort and wisdom in his own way. Even the background characters, like the Northuldra tribe and the spirits of nature, contribute to the depth of the story. They challenge Elsa and Anna's understanding of their family's past, and force them to confront the idea that history is not always as simple as it seems. The characters are all connected by this theme of growth and discovery. None of them remain the same by the end of the film. They all evolve, they all learn, and they all find new truths about themselves. The beauty of Frozen 2 lies in how the character development is woven so tightly into the story that you can't separate the two. The plot exists because the characters grow, and the characters grow because the plot pushes them to. Each of them faces personal fears, deep questions, and moments of doubt that make their eventual transformations feel earned and genuine. The film doesn't rely on villains or external dangers to drive the story forward. Instead, it relies on emotional challenges, difficult choices, and the courage it takes to face the unknown. This rich, layered development makes the characters feel alive, complex, and wonderfully human, even in a world filled with magic. In Frozen 2, the performances go far beyond simply voicing animated characters. The cast infuses their roles with such emotional authenticity that these characters feel fully alive, as if they're real people with real struggles, hopes, fears, and triumphs. What makes the performances in this film so captivating is the incredible balance between vulnerability, humor, courage, and personal growth, all delivered through the subtleties of voice acting, which can sometimes be even more challenging than live action because the entire emotional journey must be conveyed without physical presence, relying solely on tone, timing, and delivery. Idina Menzel's portrayal of Elsa is the very heartbeat of the film. Elsa is not a character driven by big, loud emotions. She's introspective, cautious, and constantly torn between her duty and her inner voice that urges her toward self-discovery. Idina's performance captures this delicate balance perfectly. From the quiet, uncertain moments when Elsa is hesitant to follow the mysterious voice, to the powerful crescendos in her songs, Idina's voice is a masterclass in emotional storytelling. She doesn't just hit the high notes for musical effect. She uses those notes to expose Elsa's soul. In songs like Into the Unknown, and especially Show Yourself, Idina layers the performance with urgency, fear, excitement, and eventually complete self-acceptance. Her ability to subtly shift from restrained control to emotional release makes Elsa's journey feel incredibly personal. Idina's performance adds a depth to Elsa that might not have come across as strongly without such careful, emotionally intelligent delivery. Kristen Bell's return as Anna is equally impressive. Anna is still the energetic, fiercely loving sister we met in the first film, but this time, Kristen gives her more complexity. Her voice performance perfectly captures Anna's evolving maturity and her struggle with change. Kristen brings out Anna's humorous, impulsive side, especially in her playful banter with Olaf and Kristoff, but it's the emotionally heavy scenes where Kristen's talent truly shines. When Anna believes she's lost Elsa, Kristen's voice becomes raw and tender, capturing a sense of grief and desperation that feels utterly real. Her delivery during The Next Right Thing is stripped of all the usual optimism, showing Anna's lowest emotional point. Kristen's subtle pacing, the way her voice trembles, and her quiet determination as the song progresses, all combine to create a performance that is heartbreakingly honest. Kristen doesn't just voice Anna. She becomes her, allowing the audience to feel every beat of Anna's emotional transformation. Jonathan Groff's Kristoff is perhaps one of the most quietly impressive performances in the film. Groff brings out Kristoff's awkwardness, his big heart, and his somewhat clumsy attempts to express love in a way that feels wonderfully authentic. His natural, warm delivery makes Kristoff feel instantly relatable, especially in the way he struggles to find the right moment to propose to Anna. Groff's performance doesn't force the humor. It allows the humor to grow naturally from Kristoff's nervous sincerity. Then comes his shining musical moment, Lost in the Woods. This scene, styled like a 1980s power ballad, could have been played just for laughs, but Groff gives it real emotional weight. He leans into Kristoff's vulnerability, using humor as a mask for deeper feelings of being left out and unsure of where he stands in Anna's life. Jonathan's ability to balance playful self-awareness with genuine emotional expression elevates Kristoff from being just the comic relief or side love interest to a fully fleshed-out character with his own insecurities and growth. Josh Gad's return as Olaf is another standout. Olaf is the character most people associate with humor and innocence, and Josh delivers that flawlessly. His comic timing is impeccable, whether he's misinterpreting the dangers around him or narrating the story of the first film in his fast-paced, hilarious recap. But what's truly special about Josh's performance in Frozen 2 is the subtle layer of philosophical curiosity he brings to Olaf this time. Olaf's obsession with growing up and his questions about change could easily feel silly or unnecessary, but Josh infuses these moments with a sincere curiosity that resonates with deeper themes of the film. His delivery makes Olaf's wide-eyed questions about life's mysteries feel touching rather than trivial. Even in moments of panic, Olaf's voice carries a warmth that anchors him as more than just comic relief. He becomes a symbol of the beauty and confusion of growing up. When Olaf faces his most vulnerable moment, Josh's voice softens, offering a surprising amount of emotional weight that gently catches the audience off guard. The supporting cast also deserves attention. Sterling K. Brown as Lieutenant Matthias brings a calm, steady strength to the role. His performance conveys the weight of a soldier who has been trapped in the enchanted forest for decades, yet still holds on to hope and loyalty. Sterling's voice adds a layer of history and responsibility to Matthias, grounding the magical adventure in a character who has seen real conflict. Evan Rachel Wood as Queen Idina appears mostly through the haunting lullaby All Is Found, but even in her limited screen time, her voice leaves a lasting impression. She captures the warmth of a mother's love and the mystery that drives Elsa's quest, all in just a few lines. Her soft, soothing delivery makes the lullaby linger throughout the film as a guiding presence, a subtle but constant pull toward truth. The magic of these performances is how naturally the actors complement each other. The chemistry between Idina Menzel and Kristen as Elsa and Anna feels completely lived in. Their conversations flow with the familiarity of sisters who know each other's every habit, strength, and fear. Their love, their disagreements, their moments of quiet understanding, all feel genuine because the voice work is so thoughtfully delivered. Similarly, Kristen and Jonathan Groff create a believable dynamic between Anna and Kristoff. Their moments together aren't exaggerated. They feel like small, real-life relationship struggles where timing is wrong, emotions get messy, and people try their best to understand each other. Even the moments of silence or hesitation in the film are powerful because the actors know how to let a pause speak volumes. In an animated film filled with dazzling visuals and sweeping music, the success of the emotional core depends entirely on how believable the voices feel. In Frozen 2, every actor brings their full emotional range to their roles, transforming what could have been a simple sequel into a rich, emotionally charged story of self-discovery, love, and change. Their performances don't just enhance the story, they become the very soul of it. In Frozen 2, the direction by Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee does not simply carry forward the charm and energy of the original film. It carefully transforms the sequel into a richer, more layered journey that confidently steps into deeper emotional and thematic territory. The directors demonstrate a thoughtful understanding that their audience has grown since the first film, and they direct Frozen 2 with a tone that matures alongside its viewers. They make sure that this isn't just a continuation of Elsa and Anna's story. It's a bold evolution, shaped with intentional shifts in mood, pacing, and visual style that continuously challenge both the characters and the audience. From the opening scenes, Buck and Lee set the tone with an atmosphere of mystery and quiet foreboding. Unlike the cheerful, bright introduction of the first Frozen, Frozen 2 opens in the past, with the sisters' father telling them a bedtime story about an enchanted forest and a conflict that left a deep scar on their kingdom's history. The directors choose to start the film not with playful banter or light-hearted music, but with this subtle weight of unanswered questions and ancient secrets. This choice signals that this story will carry more complexity, encouraging the audience to pay attention to the layers beneath the adventure. It is a confident tonal shift that immediately places Frozen 2 in a different emotional landscape. Buck and Lee's direction carefully guides the pacing of the film, allowing it to ebb and flow in a way that feels organic. They resist the urge to race from one action sequence to the next. Instead, they carve out room for reflection, quiet tension, and subtle emotional beats that let the characters wrestle with their choices. This is especially clear in the way Elsa's journey is constructed. Her path into the unknown isn't a series of rapid obstacles. It's a gradual peeling back of fear, self-doubt, and curiosity. The directors give Elsa's hesitations space to unfold naturally, allowing her to make decisions that feel deeply personal and earned, not just driven by plot mechanics. Their visual choices heighten the emotional storytelling in powerful ways. Each new location Elsa and Anna explore is designed not just for visual spectacle, but to mirror their emotional states. The enchanted forest feels like a world paused in time, trapped in mist and autumn colors that perfectly reflect the idea of transition and unresolved history. The sea that Elsa must cross is a perfect symbol of the unknown. Buck and Lee direct these scenes with an eye for emotional symbolism. When Elsa faces the dark sea, the camera angles become low, the crashing waves dominate the frame, and Elsa is visually dwarfed by the sheer scale of the challenge. It's a moment directed with such precision that the audience isn't just watching Elsa face danger. They're experiencing the enormity of stepping beyond the familiar. The directors also make deliberate stylistic choices during the musical numbers. In Frozen 2, Songs are not treated as interruptions or simple character moments. They are seamlessly woven into the storytelling in a way that advances the emotional journey. Take Into the Unknown, for example. Buck and Lee build this sequence with a sense of visual expansion, using movement, lighting, and sound to draw the audience into Elsa's growing obsession with the mysterious voice. The shifting lights, the echoing call, and Elsa's rising determination are all carefully directed to visually match the increasing emotional pull she feels. It's a masterful blend of sound and image that turns a musical performance into a full sensory experience. Perhaps one of the most distinctive directional risks is the presentation of Kristoff's solo, Lost in the Woods. Rather than keep it in the traditional Disney style, Buck and Lee fully embraced the structure and style of an over-the-top 1980s power ballad, complete with split screens, exaggerated zooms, and dramatic reindeer choreography. This could have easily felt out of place, but the directors know exactly how to balance sincerity and humor. They frame it as Kristoff's heartfelt but clumsy emotional expression, making it both hilarious and genuinely sweet. It's a bold stylistic detour that still fits because it remains true to Kristoff's character and emotional state. Another subtle but effective directional choice is how Buck and Lee approach the film's more intimate scenes. When Anna and Elsa share quiet moments, whether they're comforting each other or facing difficult truths, the directors bring the camera in closer, softening the background, allowing the sisters to dominate the frame. These intimate shots create a feeling of closeness, making the audience feel like they're not just watching these conversations, but sitting right beside them, fully immersed in the weight of their words. In moments like when Elsa shares painful discoveries with Anna, the direction slows down, allowing the rawness of their connection to come through without distraction. Buck and Lee are also careful in how they build the film's tension. They layer moments of uncertainty and suspense gradually, never forcing artificial stakes. The conflicts Elsa faces in Otterhallen or Anna's confrontation with the painful truths about Arendelle's past are not driven by external villains, but by inner dilemmas and moral challenges. The directors trust the strength of these internal struggles to carry the narrative. There is no need for a grand evil antagonist because Buck and Lee direct the story to focus on overcoming fear, grief, and inherited responsibility. This decision gives the film a refreshing emotional depth that feels more resonant and lasting. The humor in Frozen 2 is also carefully shaped by the directors. Olaf's rapid-fire storytelling, his philosophical reflections on growing older, and his oblivious misinterpretations of danger are staged with perfect timing. Buck and Lee direct Olaf's comedic beats in a way that prevents them from derailing the mood. Even his funniest moments are grounded in genuine curiosity and innocent concern, making his presence feel essential rather than merely decorative. What stands out across the entire film is how consistently Buck and Lee prioritize emotional honesty. Whether it's in the scale of the action, the tenderness of the character moments, or the vibrant musical performances, their direction always circles back to what the characters are feeling. They are not interested in spectacle for spectacle's sake. They use every visual, every line, every beat to serve the emotional core of the story. Even the finale, when Anna takes decisive action to save the forest and Arendelle, is directed with a focus on the emotional weight of leadership and responsibility, rather than just visual heroics. The directors also weave subtle callbacks to the first film, not for nostalgia, but to show how far these characters have come. Scenes like Olaf's quick recap of the original story are directed with just the right mix of humor and self-awareness, helping new viewers catch up while giving returning fans a clever reminder of the journey so far. Through it all, Buck and Lee guide the story with a steady, confident hand, crafting a sequel that feels richer, more mature, and far more ambitious than anyone might have expected. Their direction ensures that Frozen 2 is not just an echo of its predecessor, but a thoughtful, visually stunning, and emotionally resonant continuation that respects the intelligence and emotional growth of its audience. The cinematography of Frozen 2 is one of the most powerful storytelling tools in the entire film, carefully shaping not just what we see, but how we feel about every moment. What's truly remarkable is how the cinematographers make each frame feel intentional and deeply connected to the characters' emotional states. The way the camera moves, the way light floods a scene or gently recedes into shadow, and the way every environment is framed all work together to pull the audience directly into the emotional heartbeat of the story. The very beginning of the film sets the visual tone with a softness that immediately feels personal. When young Elsa and Anna are listening to their father's story about the enchanted forest, the lighting is warm and comforting, with a gentle glow that gives their home a safe, loving atmosphere. The camera here is steady and intimate, framing the sisters and their family in close shots that emphasize connection and security. But as soon as the story turns toward the mysterious conflict in the enchanted forest, the lighting subtly changes, becoming cooler and more shadowed. The cinematographers carefully use this shift to signal that there is something deeper, something unresolved, waiting to be discovered. This is a masterful use of visual foreshadowing that sets up the entire journey. As the story progresses, the cinematography begins to play with scale in striking ways. The shots of Arendelle are wide and majestic, capturing the beauty and order of the kingdom. But as the magical forces begin to threaten the city, the camera angles shift. The streets of Arendelle are suddenly shot from lower angles, making the falling boulders and the crashing waves seem even more imposing. The cinematographers deliberately use these low, tilted shots to create unease, making the familiar setting feel fragile and vulnerable. This shift in perspective visually prepares the audience for the idea that stability is about to be shattered. One of the film's most visually dynamic sequences is Elsa's solo journey across the dark sea. The cinematography here is extraordinary. The wide, sweeping shots capture the sheer scale of the ocean, making Elsa look small and isolated as she confronts the towering waves. The camera constantly changes its distance from Elsa. Sometimes it follows her closely, sometimes it pulls far back to show how insignificant she seems against the crashing water. This push and pull creates a rhythm that matches her struggle. The sea is shot as a living, breathing force, with waves that feel like moving walls, and Elsa is framed in ways that make her appear both incredibly vulnerable and fiercely determined. When she tames the Knock, the mythical water spirit, the camera slows its frantic pace, lingering in wide shots that let the moment breathe. It's a visual victory as much as an emotional one, and the cinematography makes sure we feel the weight of that triumph. The lighting during this sea sequence is particularly striking. It is often cold and stark, but when Elsa begins to embrace her power and confront her past, subtle shifts in lighting introduce warmer tones, especially the soft glow of the magical lights that guide her. The cinematographers use this transition to visually signal Elsa's growing understanding and acceptance of her destiny. The way the lights interact with the ocean surface, glistening and flickering as Elsa moves forward, adds layers of visual storytelling that elevate the entire sequence. When Elsa enters Arendelle, the cinematography becomes even more sophisticated. The ice structures are shot with incredible clarity, capturing the light in a way that makes the surfaces appear both solid and transparent. The camera often circles Elsa, giving the audience a full view of her surroundings, but also framing her from above, suggesting that she is diving deeper into her own history, surrounded by memories and truths that have been frozen in time. The reflections in the ice are used purposefully. In many shots, Elsa is mirrored in the surfaces around her, creating a visual metaphor for her search for identity. The cinematographers carefully balance brightness and shadow in these scenes, allowing the glowing blues and silvers of Arendelle to envelop Elsa without overwhelming the emotional intimacy of her journey. Anna's journey is filmed with a different energy, but with equal attention to emotional storytelling. When Anna sings The Next Right Thing, the cinematography makes a bold choice to strip the scene of all visual distractions. The lighting is dim, almost suffocating, as if the world itself is closing in on her. The camera holds her in tight, unmoving frames, forcing the audience to sit with her grief and isolation. There are no grand camera movements here, no sweeping visuals, just Anna, frozen in her sorrow, trying to summon the will to move forward. This choice to simplify the cinematography at this moment creates an intensity that is deeply powerful, making Anna's quiet resilience feel monumental. The enchanted forest itself is treated like a breathing character. The cinematographers fill the frames with dense layers of mist, flickering sunlight, and autumn colors that shift in tone depending on the emotional stakes of each scene. When the group first enters the forest, the trees loom over them, the mist curls around their feet, and the lighting is soft but uncertain. As they uncover the history of the Northuldra people and the hidden past of Arendelle, the lighting sharpens, and the camera begins to frame the forest in warmer, more open compositions, visually signaling that the barriers between truth and legend are beginning to dissolve. One of the most visually playful and memorable moments is Kristoff's song, Lost in the Woods. Here, the cinematographers completely switch gears, embracing the visual style of 1980s power ballads. The scene is filled with dramatic close-ups, intentionally over-the-top zooms, and split-screen compositions that mimic the style of classic rock music videos. The reindeer join in, creating synchronized movements that add to the humorous exaggeration. This could have felt out of place, but the cinematographers lean fully into the style, making it feel like a genuine emotional outpouring for Kristoff, while also providing a moment of comic relief. The lighting is soft and romantic, with gentle spotlights that make Kristoff's love-struck confusion the center of attention. It's a brilliant visual detour that feels like a loving homage to a completely different cinematic tradition. Throughout the film, the cinematographers also use movement to reflect inner change. When Elsa first hears the call, the camera gently follows her in slow, curious movements, but as she begins to actively pursue it, the movements become more assertive and sweeping. The cinematography keeps pace with Elsa's determination, growing bolder as she does. For Anna, the camera is often steady and centered, visually reinforcing her grounded, practical approach to the unfolding chaos. Olaf's scenes are shot with playful quickness, his storytelling moments framed in tight, comical cuts that enhance the humor without losing the narrative's thread. The action sequences are also visually thrilling. When Elsa and the Nock battle against the ocean's fury, the camera is tossed around just like Elsa, capturing the chaos with kinetic energy. The earth giants are filmed from low angles, with deliberate pauses that let the weight of their footsteps and the shaking of the ground resonate fully. The editing and pacing of Frozen 2 are crafted with remarkable attention to detail, working almost like an emotional conductor that controls the rhythm of the entire film. Every scene, every cut, every moment of silence or rush is carefully calculated to create a dynamic experience that keeps the audience fully engaged from start to finish. The editors seem to have had a deep understanding that this film is not just a straightforward adventure. It's a story that constantly moves between humor, action, mystery, music, and emotional introspection, and the editing reflects that range with absolute precision. From the very beginning, the editing takes its time, especially in the opening sequences where we are reintroduced to the peaceful life in Arendelle. These early moments aren't hurried. The editors deliberately allow the scenes to unfold slowly, creating a warm, lived-in rhythm that invites the audience to settle back into the world of Elsa, Anna, Olaf, Kristoff, and Sven. The pace in these scenes is patient, using soft, gradual transitions to show the comfort and security of their lives. This slow rhythm is not wasted time. It's a carefully planned strategy to make the disruption caused by the mysterious voice feel much more impactful when it arrives. The editors are subtly building a sense of normalcy, only to later shatter it in a way that resonates deeply. When Elsa begins hearing the call, the editing cleverly shifts. The pacing tightens. The scenes start to cut more quickly between Elsa's daily life and her moments of distraction. There's a brilliant use of visual rhythm here that shows Elsa being pulled between her responsibilities and her growing curiosity. The editors don't just tell us that Elsa is conflicted. They make us feel it through the tempo of the cuts. The flow becomes slightly uneven, intentionally, to mirror Elsa's growing restlessness. As the journey begins, the pacing carefully accelerates, but the film never falls into a mindless sprint. The editors strike a balance where each discovery in the enchanted forest is given enough time to be fully absorbed by the characters and the audience. There's a graceful pacing to these adventure scenes. The story keeps moving forward, but the editors know when to pause and let the visual grandeur or emotional beats linger. For example, the moment when the group first encounters the Northuldra people is not rushed. The editors allow for a natural exchange, giving space for both the tension and the gradual building of trust. The film doesn't gloss over these important world-building moments. It lets them breathe without dragging. When it comes to the musical sequences, the editing shines with incredible synchronization. In Into the Unknown, the rhythm of the editing matches the beat of the song so perfectly that the visual tempo almost feels like a dance. The The cuts are sharp and energetic when the song soars, and they soften when Elsa hesitates, mirroring her emotional tug-of-war. The editors have this instinctive sense of when to use rapid cuts to heighten energy, and when to hold on a shot to let the weight of a moment settle in. This is not just technical skill, it's emotional intuition translated into visual timing. One of the most impressive demonstrations of pacing control is Anna's deeply emotional song, The Next Right Thing. Here, the editing almost comes to a standstill. The film's rhythm slows dramatically, allowing Anna's grief, confusion, and isolation to fill the screen without distraction. The editors choose to let the camera linger, using long takes that hold the audience in the same stillness Anna is experiencing. There are no flashy cuts, no visual diversions, just a quiet, raw rhythm that forces the viewer to sit in the discomfort of the moment. This is bold editing, choosing silence and simplicity where many films might have been tempted to speed through a sad moment. When the story needs energy and humor, the editing quickly adapts. Olaf's hilarious recap of the first film is a perfect example of sharp, fast-paced comedic editing. The cuts come rapidly, matching Olaf's breathless storytelling, and the editors know exactly when to break that speed to land a joke, like cutting to the stunned reactions of the Northuldra and the Arendellian soldiers. The pacing here is playful and quick, but it's always in service of the humor. The editors manage to keep the rhythm light without losing clarity, even as Olaf speeds through major plot points in a matter of seconds. Kristoff's song Lost in the Woods is another brilliant showcase of the film's versatile editing style. The editors fully lean into the exaggerated 80s music video aesthetic with split screens, slow-motion shots, and comedic zoom-ins. The pacing here is intentionally over the top, but what makes it so effective is that it's precisely timed to the beat of the song and the comedic beats of Kristoff's emotional turmoil. The sequence feels self-aware and lovingly humorous because the editing is in complete sync with the tone. The rhythm bounces between serious heartache and visual parody without ever losing its place. The action sequences, especially those involving the Earth Giants and Elsa's battle with the ocean, are edited with a thrilling, fast-moving pace that keeps the audience on edge. The editors use quick, energetic cuts to create a sense of chaos and urgency, but they never allow the visuals to become confusing. Even at high speed, the spatial relationships between characters and their environment remain crystal clear. When Anna races to destroy the dam, the editing keeps the pace tight, layering fast cuts with moments that briefly slow down just enough to let us see her determination and fear. It's this push and pull that makes the sequence feel alive and emotionally charged rather than just a series of fast images. Another subtle achievement in the film's editing is the careful transition between Elsa's and Anna's parallel journeys. The editors shift between their storylines with a rhythm that feels natural and emotionally linked. When Elsa faces magical revelations, the cuts often slow, allowing her to fully process the wonder of what she's seeing. Meanwhile, when the focus returns to Anna, the editing picks up pace to reflect her more immediate, action-driven challenges. The two storylines have distinct pacing styles, but the editors skillfully weave them together so the transitions feel seamless, keeping the narrative tightly connected even as the sisters pursue separate paths. The film's closing moments are another example of the editors understanding the importance of pacing. After the excitement and the resolution of the major conflict, the film allows time for a gentle wind down. The editing slows again to let the emotional closure settle properly. The final scenes of Arendelle's restoration, Anna and Elsa's reunion, and the quiet acceptance of their new lives are not rushed. The editors choose to linger, to let the audience savor the sense of growth and peace that the characters have finally reached. Throughout Frozen 2, the pacing remains incredibly adaptive. It moves quickly when the story needs excitement. It slows when the characters need space to process, and it carefully modulates its rhythm to match the emotional highs and lows. The editing is the invisible hand that guides the audience through this beautifully complex story, balancing moments of spectacle with moments of intimacy. The soundtrack and score of Frozen 2 are not just background music. They are woven directly into the emotional core and narrative fabric of the film. The music doesn't simply accompany the story. It drives it, shapes it, and often leads the audience through the twists and turns of the plot with a rhythm and emotional weight that dialogue alone could never achieve. Right from the opening notes, The soundtrack sets a tone that is more mature, more mysterious, and more introspective than the first film. It signals to the audience that this is a story about discovery, growth, and the unknown. And the music reflects those themes with beautiful complexity. The composers have crafted a score that understands when to soar with grandeur, when to settle into quiet intimacy, and when to echo the pulse of curiosity that pulls Elsa and Anna forward. One of the most striking elements of the soundtrack is the recurring motif of the siren's call, a haunting, wordless melody that Elsa hears throughout the film. This call is not just a plot device. It becomes a musical signature that threads its way through the entire score. It reappears in various forms, sometimes as a whisper in the background, sometimes fully integrated into the orchestration, guiding Elsa and the audience toward the heart of the mystery. The way the motif evolves over the course of the film is remarkable. It begins as something distant and almost unsettling, but as Elsa follows it and learns more about herself, the motif transforms, becoming warmer and more harmonious, subtly reinforcing Elsa's journey toward self-acceptance and truth. Into the Unknown is, of course, the film's powerhouse anthem. It is designed to do exactly what Let It Go did in the first film, to capture Elsa's internal struggle in a single, explosive musical moment. But what makes Into the Unknown particularly effective is how it integrates with the story. The rising tempo, the swelling instrumentation, and the urgency in the melody perfectly mirror Elsa's restlessness and her irresistible pull toward the mystery. The song is crafted to build pressure, not just musically but emotionally, until Elsa is propelled forward, unable to resist the call. The melody of the siren is cleverly woven into the structure of the song, sometimes echoing Elsa's lines, sometimes interrupting her, creating a musical dialogue that feels alive and ever-present. The score around this song is not simply an accompaniment. It surges with Elsa's energy, climbing with her as she surrenders to her curiosity and begins her new adventure. Throughout the film, each character is given their own musical space that reflects their emotional state. Anna's songs are grounded, emotionally raw, and often more conversational in tone. The Next Right Thing is particularly powerful, not just because of its lyrics but because of how the score almost vanishes around her. The music here is sparse, almost minimalist. It's as if the film is afraid to crowd Anna in her grief. The silence between the soft piano chords and the careful pauses between verses create a heavy atmosphere, where every word she sings lands with maximum emotional weight. The restraint in the score is a bold choice. It allows Anna's vulnerability to take center stage, trusting that sometimes less sound can carry more power. Olaf's song, When I Am Older, is a playful, quirky number that perfectly matches his comedic, but surprisingly thoughtful character. The score during this sequence bounces with whimsical charm, filled with light, plucky rhythms and unexpected instrumental flourishes that keep pace with Olaf's peculiar logic and innocent misunderstanding of the world around him. The music elevates the humor without ever overpowering it. It dances around Olaf's antics, highlighting his naivety while also hinting at the deeper, almost philosophical layers of his character. Olaf's musical moments are where the score allows itself to have fun, bringing levity to a film that often dips into serious and sometimes dark themes. Kristoff's solo, Lost in the Woods, is where the soundtrack boldly shifts styles, and the result is both hilarious and endearing. The score suddenly adopts the unmistakable flair of an 80s rock power ballad, complete with dramatic guitar riffs, echoing backing vocals, and an over-the-top emotional swell. It's a delightful surprise, but it also fits perfectly because Kristoff is a character who often struggles to express his feelings, and here the music takes over to do it for him in the most gloriously exaggerated way. The song's structure and instrumentation are a direct nod to classic rock ballads, and the score fully commits to this playful homage, giving the scene an intentionally grandiose vibe that makes Kristoff's heartfelt confusion all the more charming. What stands out in Frozen 2 is how seamlessly the songs and the orchestral score are woven together. There's no jarring shift between dialogue-driven scenes and musical numbers. The transitions are smooth, and often the underscore subtly carries fragments of the song's melodies, creating a cohesive musical thread that runs through the entire film. For example, after Elsa's big musical moments, echoes of her song's themes can be heard softly in the background as she moves through the forest or confronts the next challenge. This creates a continuous emotional arc that feels deeply connected to the characters' journeys. The score during the action scenes is another area where the music truly elevates the tension. When the earth giants appear, the music grows large and heavy, with booming percussion and low, rumbling strings that convey the unstoppable force of these creatures. The rhythm in these moments mirrors the pounding footsteps of the giants, making the audience feel their size and power through sound alone. The score builds and releases tension at exactly the right moments, using sharp crescendos and sudden silences to keep the viewers on edge. One of the most beautifully crafted sequences in the entire film is Elsa's exploration of Hallen. The music here shifts again, embracing a more ethereal, almost otherworldly soundscape. The orchestration becomes delicate, layered with shimmering strings, echoing choral voices, and soft, glassy tones that feel like they belong in a magical, ancient place. The score invites the audience to feel the awe and the overwhelming flood of emotion that Elsa experiences as she uncovers the secrets of her past. The music rises and falls like waves, mirroring Elsa's journey across the frozen waters. When she finally finds her truth, the score blossoms into a harmonious blend of everything we've heard before. It's like the musical pieces from the entire film finally come together in one cohesive resolution. Even silence plays an important role in the sound design of Frozen 2. The moments when the score drops out completely are some of the most powerful. The quiet spaces are used not as gaps, but as deliberate emotional pauses, places where the weight of the story can fully settle without distraction. When Anna believes she has lost Elsa and Olaf, the silence becomes almost deafening, pressing in on her and the audience alike. The lack of music in these moments is striking, allowing the raw emotion to dominate without being guided by melody or rhythm. The composers also bring back familiar themes from the first film in subtle, respectful ways. These musical callbacks are like gentle reminders of where the characters started, but they are always reinterpreted to fit the more complex emotional landscape of the sequel. Frozen 2 is a film that carries a rich tapestry of themes woven deeply into every character arc, song, and plot twist, creating a story that resonates far beyond its fairy tale setting. Unlike the first film, which focused heavily on the ideas of self-acceptance and familial love, Frozen 2 broadens its thematic scope, venturing into questions of identity, destiny, the weight of inherited responsibility, the importance of confronting the past, and the bittersweet complexity of change. These are not just ideas floating on the surface. They pulse at the core of every decision Elsa and Anna make, and the film doesn't shy away from exploring their emotional consequences in thoughtful, sometimes painful detail. One of the most prominent themes is self-discovery. Elsa's journey is a relentless pursuit of the truth about who she is, what her powers mean, and where she truly belongs. The film dives into this theme with a level of introspection rarely seen in family animation. Elsa is not searching for external validation anymore. She is pulled by something within herself, a voice that represents curiosity, restlessness, and the yearning to find her true place in the world. This theme speaks to anyone who has ever felt out of step with their surroundings, or has wondered if there is something more meant for them beyond what they know. It's a journey about following one's own call, even when it means stepping away from everything familiar. The film doesn't present this as an easy path. Elsa faces isolation, fear, and the potential loss of her closest relationships, and yet the theme insists that the pursuit of truth, no matter how uncomfortable, is worth it. Closely connected to Elsa's self-discovery is the theme of embracing the unknown. The film repeats this idea constantly, from the lyrics of Into the Unknown to the unfolding of the Enchanted Forest's secrets. It is not a story about conquering the unknown but about accepting it, stepping into it with courage, and trusting that answers can be found even when the path isn't clear. This theme resonates in moments both grand and intimate, challenging Elsa and Anna to make decisions without knowing where they will lead. It's about facing the fog, both literal and emotional, without guarantees, which is a deeply human fear. Another powerful theme is the responsibility of confronting the past. Frozen 2 leans into the idea that history is not always as noble as it appears, and sometimes the legacies we inherit are built on injustice. The revelation that Arendelle's prosperity came at the cost of betrayal and exploitation is a bold narrative choice for a Disney film. The story pushes its characters, and its audience, to reckon with the uncomfortable truth that the past must be faced honestly, even if it shatters cherished myths. This is not a villain-driven conflict but a moral one, where the heroes must grapple with their own kingdom's role in a historical wrong. The film asks tough questions about what is owed to those who have been wronged, and whether healing is possible without accountability. The theme of environmental harmony is also subtly but meaningfully present throughout the story. The enchanted forest, the elemental spirits, and the imbalance caused by the dam all point to a message about respecting nature's balance and recognizing humanity's impact on the environment. The story doesn't preach, but it weaves this idea into the narrative fabric, making it clear that ignoring the natural order leads to chaos. Restoring that balance is not presented as a heroic conquest, but as a necessary act of understanding and cooperation. Change is another theme that runs through the entire film, not as a simple plot device but as a complex emotional undercurrent. Change is exciting, but it's also painful and disorienting. Anna's entire journey is a meditation on this. She resists change, clings to the safety of the life they've built in Arendelle, and struggles when everything begins to shift around her. The film treats this emotional resistance with empathy. Change isn't presented as an automatic good. It's portrayed as something that can bring grief and loss along with growth. The song "Some Things Never Change" at the beginning of the film is a perfect ironic setup, because the entire story is about how nothing stays the same, no matter how badly we might wish it to. Grief and resilience also form a deeply resonant thematic layer. Anna's devastating loss of Olaf, and the belief that Elsa is gone leaves her in a moment of profound despair. The way the film handles this theme is both subtle and powerful. It doesn't sweep Anna's grief away with magic or a simple pep talk. Instead, it allows her to sit in the darkness, to feel completely alone and directionless. Her song, "The Next Right Thing," is not about grand plans or heroic triumphs. It's about survival. It's about taking one small step when everything else has fallen apart. The film offers this quiet, grounded message that sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is to keep moving forward even when we can't see the path ahead. The bond between Elsa and Anna remains a central theme, but this time, it's not just about sisterly love. It's about learning to let go in order to grow. The film recognizes that as much as they love each other, they have different paths to follow. Anna becomes the Queen of Arendelle, and Elsa finds her place as the guardian of the enchanted forest. Their relationship matures into one of mutual support, not dependence. This evolution reinforces the theme that love can thrive even when people choose separate journeys, a message that speaks to the reality of growing up and growing apart while still remaining connected. The film also quietly explores the idea of identity beyond roles and labels. Elsa is no longer confined by the idea of being queen. Kristoff's journey is about understanding his place in Anna's life without being the hero who saves the day. Olaf contemplates growing up and what that means, playing with the idea of wisdom and the often confusing process of gaining life experience. These layers invite the audience to think about who they are beyond their titles, responsibilities, or expectations. Importantly, none of these themes are forced. They emerge naturally from the characters' decisions, their emotional struggles, and the progression of the story. The film trusts the audience, especially younger viewers, to wrestle with complex ideas. It doesn't water down the moral challenges or offer simple answers. Instead, it presents a world where doing the right thing can be painful, where the past can haunt the present, where self-discovery can lead you away from those you love, and where embracing uncertainty is sometimes the only path forward. What makes these themes linger is that they are not confined to a fairy tale. They feel deeply relevant to real life. The journey of owning one's identity, facing hard truths, navigating grief, accepting change, and making difficult choices are universal experiences. Frozen 2 manages to wrap all of this in a visually stunning, musically unforgettable package, but at its heart, it is a story about growing up, stepping into responsibility, and learning that sometimes the hardest thing is not defeating an enemy but understanding yourself and your place in a world that is constantly shifting. The visual effects and CGI in Frozen 2 are nothing short of mesmerizing, creating a magical world that feels both fantastical and deeply tangible. From the very first frame, the animation team demonstrates an extraordinary command over digital artistry, crafting landscapes and elemental spectacles that elevate the story's emotional beats. Unlike many films where CGI is flashy but detached, here the effects are woven seamlessly into the environment, enhancing the narrative rather than overwhelming it. Every elemental force, water, fire, earth, and air, comes alive with a distinct personality, each animated with a sense of weight, texture, and movement that feels astonishingly real, despite the film's fairy tale setting. One of the most impressive examples of visual effects mastery is the depiction of the Knock, the mythical water horse that guards the secrets of Idina. The Knock is not just a creature made of water. It moves with the fluidity and unpredictability of real water, yet carries the solid force and presence of a living, breathing animal. Its mane ripples like a river current, its body splashes and reforms with every gallop, and the tension in the scene where Elsa tames it is magnified by the way the CGI perfectly balances beauty and danger. The level of detail here is extraordinary, with droplets separating and merging in slow motion, giving the Knock a tactile realism that pulls the audience directly into Elsa's high-stakes encounter. The Enchanted Forest is another showcase for the film's visual creativity. The mist that cloaks the forest feels alive, constantly shifting, reacting to the character's presence, adding layers of mystery and tension. The fog isn't just a background element, it's an active force in the story, rendered in such a way that it feels like the forest itself is breathing. When the mist clears to reveal the towering earth giants, the visual scale changes dramatically. These massive stone beings are brought to life with a sense of weight and physicality that makes them both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The way they interact with the environment, the ground shaking under their steps, trees snapping like twigs in their path, demonstrates the animation team's attention to how CGI elements must impact their surroundings to feel authentic. Fire also takes on a new life in this film through the character of Bruni, the adorable fire spirit. Bruni is not simply a spark or a flame. It is animated with incredible personality and whimsy, but always grounded in the behavior of fire. Its flames flicker unpredictably, it scampers with a nervous energy, and when Elsa uses her ice to calm it, the visual contrast between fire and ice is handled with playful elegance. This delicate dance of opposites is a visual treat, where the animators create believable, reactive interactions between elemental forces that would have clashed or appeared artificial in less carefully crafted CGI work. Idina, the mystical river of memory, is perhaps the most visually stunning set piece in the entire film. The way the ice structures form, dissolve, and reflect light gives the location an ethereal, otherworldly feel. It's not just a pretty backdrop, it's a living archive of the past, and the animation captures this beautifully. The frozen memories are rendered with a glass-like clarity, shimmering and shifting as Elsa moves through them. The water's surface reflects her emotions and subtly shifts in tone to match the story's mood, creating a perfect synergy between visual design and narrative tension. What makes the visual effects in Frozen 2 so effective is that they serve the story at every turn. When Elsa builds an ice boat, when the forest erupts in magical flame, when the dam finally collapses, each moment is designed not simply to look impressive, but to carry emotional weight. The CGI never feels like a spectacle for spectacle's sake. It exists to heighten the stakes, to immerse the viewer, and to visually represent the characters' internal journeys. The elemental forces mirror the characters' growth, struggles, and discoveries, and the animators manage to make these magical visuals feel like natural extensions of the world rather than digital intrusions. There's a remarkable blend of practical feeling textures within the CGI-heavy world. Snowflakes don't just fall, they settle and melt. Elsa's ice magic creates intricate, lacy patterns that echo real-world crystallization processes. The costumes, though fully animated, have movement and fabric textures that respond believably to wind, water, and the character's motions. Even Kristoff's fur-trimmed coat sways and bunches in a way that makes you momentarily forget you're watching a fully digital film. Unlike some films where practical effects stand apart from CGI, in Frozen 2, everything is built within the same digital environment, but it's done with such craftsmanship that many elements feel grounded and physically present. The lighting plays a huge role here, with sunlight piercing through trees, water refracting with realistic ripples, and night scenes glowing with the soft hues of enchanted fireflies. These subtle touches prevent the film from ever feeling visually flat or artificial. The visual effects also excel in their use of perspective and scale. When Elsa crosses the dark sea, the camera often pulls back to emphasize her smallness against the towering waves, and the ocean's force is rendered with a ferocity that matches the peril of her journey. The way the waves rise, crash, and swirl around her is a stunning blend of art and physics simulation, creating one of the most intense sequences in the film without the need for a traditional villain. The transitions between large, sweeping visual spectacles and small, intimate moments are also handled smoothly. Whether it's Elsa soaring across a frozen sea or Anna quietly walking through a misty forest path, the visual effects never jar the viewer out of the experience. Instead, they guide the eye, evoke the right emotions, and always feel purposefully integrated. Frozen 2 is a film where visual effects and CGI are not mere technical accomplishments. They are narrative tools that breathe life into the story's magic. The fire flickers with joy and danger, water flows with memory and mystery, earth shakes with ancient power, and air carries the soft whisper of voices from the past. Every elemental detail is designed to pull the viewer deeper into this enchanting world, creating a visual experience that is as emotionally resonant as it is breathtaking to behold. The set design and locations in Frozen 2 are masterfully crafted to create an enchanting and believable world that feels both expansive and intimately connected to the story's emotional core. Every location in this film isn't just a backdrop. It's a character in itself, layered with history, mystery, and meaning. The design choices throughout the film don't merely aim to look beautiful, though they certainly do. They are carefully selected to reflect the psychological states of the characters and to subtly push the story forward at every turn. Starting in Arendelle, the cozy kingdom immediately feels familiar, echoing the warmth and safety established in the first film. The architecture of the castle, the detailed streets, and the soft autumnal hues set the tone for the story's theme of change. The season has shifted from the eternal winter we once knew to a vibrant, earthy fall, and that change in the setting signals that the characters are on the brink of a new chapter. The falling leaves, the golden light, and the gentle bustle of Arendelle's town square build a sense of home, comfort, and tradition, which is exactly what Anna is afraid of losing. The set design here cleverly anchors us in a world that feels safe, so when the story pulls the characters out of this safety, the contrast is deeply felt. The Enchanted Forest is one of the most visually striking locations, and it is designed with a palpable sense of magic and secrecy. The towering trees, their branches knotted and twisted, seem to whisper ancient stories. The perpetual mist that shrouds the forest creates an atmosphere of mystery, making the entire environment feel like it's alive, observing the characters as they journey through. The forest isn't static. It changes with the characters' movements, the mist thickening or thinning as the plot advances, and the autumnal color palette deepens as they venture further in. The Enchanted Forest is rich with small, thoughtful details. The way the leaves crunch underfoot, the scattered remains of the Northuldra camps, and the elemental spirits subtly influencing the surroundings. The rock formations, the moss-covered ground, and the natural barriers all add to the sense that this place is untouched, ancient, and filled with secrets waiting to be uncovered. When the Earth Giants emerge, their design and integration into the forest landscape are spectacular. They don't feel like foreign creatures dropped into the world, but like a natural extension of the terrain. The giants blend into their environment, with moss, boulders, and trees clinging to their bodies. Their slow, thunderous movements make them feel like walking mountains, and their visual weight enhances the sense of scale and danger. These giants transform the forest into a moving, breathing battlefield, and their presence amplifies the stakes in a way that pure dialogue never could. The frozen river Idina is another breathtaking location that stands as the emotional heart of the film. This mystical place is unlike any other in the story, and its design is soaked in elegance and otherworldliness. The sharp, crystalline ice structures reach into the sky like frozen cathedrals, shimmering and glowing with an inner light. The smooth ice floors, the translucent ice walls, and the ever-shifting surfaces create a dreamlike effect. This isn't just a pretty visual. It represents memory, truth, and destiny. Idina's icy structures respond to Elsa's touch and voice, becoming a living archive of the past. The sense of isolation in this location is amplified by its open, echoing spaces. Elsa stands alone among towering ice spires, reinforcing her solitary journey of self-discovery. The way the ice reflects not only light but Elsa's memories and emotions is a brilliant design choice that ties the physical space directly to the narrative. The Northuldra camp is another beautifully realized set, though more grounded than the magical elements of the forest or Otterhallen. The tents, the woven materials, the carved wooden objects, and the naturalistic layout of their living spaces all feel authentic and lived in. These design details bring the Northuldra culture to life, showing a people who live in harmony with the forest. Their camp is not elaborate or grand, but it radiates a quiet strength and resilience. The contrast between the Northuldra's natural, open camp and the more structured, stone-built kingdom of Arendelle subtly underscores the cultural and thematic divide that Elsa and Anna must navigate. The underground cave where Elsa's mother's lullaby echoes is a short but significant location that feels like a hidden pocket of magic. The jagged, glassy ice formations, the echoes that follow Elsa's voice, and the confined space all heighten the tension in this scene. The design makes the audience feel the pressure closing in, both physically and emotionally, as Elsa pushes herself to the limits of her powers. Even smaller, more transitional locations are given careful attention. The misty riverbanks, the pathways littered with fallen autumn leaves, and the stone dam all feel meticulously designed to reflect the larger themes of the story. The dam itself is not just a plot device. It is a symbol of the buried injustices that the characters must confront. Its construction is visually imposing but also unnatural, cutting across the natural flow of the river, which is a subtle but powerful visual metaphor for the disruption of balance caused by the sins of the past. What makes the set design and locations in Frozen 2 particularly compelling is that they aren't just visually pleasing, they actively contribute to the storytelling. Each location carries emotional weight, whether it's the safety of Arendelle, the mystery of the enchanted forest, the danger of the sea, or the isolation of Otterhallen. The spaces change as the characters change, and their designs are loaded with meaning, reinforcing the film's exploration of identity, memory, and transformation. The level of detail is extraordinary, from the way frost clings to stone to the individual textures of bark, leaves, and fabric. These environments feel fully realized, immersive, and alive, making the audience believe that this world continues to exist beyond the frame. The care and thought poured into each set piece elevate Frozen 2 far beyond standard animation design, turning each location into a narrative layer that enhances the film's emotional and visual depth. The dialogue and script of Frozen 2 strike a fascinating balance between light-hearted humor, emotional introspection, and mythic storytelling, making the film feel accessible to children while offering deeper layers for older audiences. The way the characters speak to each other feels natural, and carries the weight of their evolving relationships. There's a noticeable maturity in the conversations compared to the first film, reflecting that these characters have grown, and now face more complex questions about themselves and the world around them. One of the most impressive aspects of the script is its ability to weave in these larger existential themes, identity, destiny, memory, without losing the charm and rhythm that made the first Frozen so beloved. The dialogue is sprinkled with moments of genuine wit, especially through Olaf's hilarious, yet oddly insightful, commentary. Olaf's quirky way of explaining life, particularly his growing fascination with the idea of change, leads to some of the funniest and most memorable lines in the film. His recap of the entire first movie to the Northuldra is delivered with rapid-fire humor that plays perfectly with the absurdity of the situation. Yet the writing ensures that these comedic moments never feel forced or out of place. The humor is used cleverly to balance the film's deeper emotional stakes. The script carefully crafts emotional turning points through dialogue that feels honest rather than exaggerated. Anna's desperate plea to Elsa not to shut her out, their conversations about the weight of responsibility, and Kristoff's adorably awkward attempts to propose all feel like natural extensions of who these characters are. The words they choose are simple but emotionally loaded, and that simplicity often makes their conversations hit harder. One of the standout lines comes from Elsa when she begins to accept her powers and says, "Show yourself." The power of this phrase isn't just in its surface meaning, it's a command, a plea, and an acknowledgement all at once. The script builds to this moment so effectively that when Elsa finally speaks it, It resonates as both a magical unlocking of secrets and a personal revelation. It's a line that defines her journey of self-discovery and carries the weight of her entire arc. Another beautifully written line comes when Anna sings about taking the next right thing. The script doesn't dress up this moment with poetic flourish. It delivers a raw, almost stripped-down mantra that perfectly captures Anna's grief and resolve. This simple phrase becomes a guiding principle for her, and serves as one of the most quietly powerful moments in the film. The strength of the writing here lies in its restraint. Instead of dramatic speeches, the script trusts the characters' pain and determination to shine through in plain, heartfelt words. Kristoff's dialogue is another highlight of the script. His awkward, sincere, and endearingly clumsy attempts to express his love for Anna are both funny and touching. His song Lost in the Woods is packed with earnest, almost theatrical lyrics that playfully parody 80s power ballads, but even within that playful tone, the script finds moments of genuine vulnerability. Kristoff's inability to find the right words until the very end of the film, when he simply asks Anna, "What do you need?" is such a small line but carries enormous emotional weight, because the script has built his arc around understanding how to support her rather than trying to be the hero. The Northuldra characters and the story's mythology are introduced with dialogue that balances exposition with curiosity. The script finds clever ways to feed the audience new information about the enchanted forest, the elemental spirits, and the shared history between Arendelle and the Northuldra without dumping overwhelming amounts of lore all at once. The conversations feel like organic discoveries, where the characters are piecing together the past just as the audience is. Even when the story ventures into grander, mythical territory, the dialogue keeps the tone grounded and emotionally connected. The script doesn't lose sight of the personal stakes, and the characters continue to speak with a conversational rhythm, avoiding the temptation to drift into overly grand speeches. Elsa and Anna's interactions are beautifully written, capturing the complex dynamic between two sisters who love each other deeply, but are being pulled in different directions by their own destinies. Their exchanges range from playful teasing to tearful confessions, and the authenticity of their sisterly bond shines through in their words. Their conversations never feel like they're simply delivering information to the audience. Instead, they speak to each other with emotional honesty, even when they're afraid or frustrated. The writing for the supporting characters also carries distinct voices that enrich the film's world. Olaf's innocent wonder, Kristoff's heartfelt awkwardness, Elsa's searching curiosity, Anna's fierce loyalty. All of these voices feel unique and consistent throughout the script. The screenplay never blurs their personalities. Instead, it sharpens them, allowing each character to stand on their own while contributing to the overall rhythm of the film's dialogue. What's especially interesting is how the script threads the theme of change throughout the entire film, both explicitly and subtly. Olaf constantly questions change. Elsa pursues it, Anna fears it, and Kristoff struggles to adapt to it. The way the characters talk about change isn't heavy-handed. It's woven into their jokes, their doubts, and their small, revealing conversations. The script makes room for quiet, reflective moments where the characters admit they don't have all the answers. That level of vulnerability in the writing makes the world of Frozen 2 feel more relatable and layered. The emotional weight, humor, and sharpness of the dialogue all come together to form a script that not only supports the grand, magical scale of the story, but also roots it in personal, human connections. It's a rare balance to achieve, and Frozen 2 does it by giving each character a distinct, believable voice, crafting lines that linger in the mind long after the story has ended. The result is a film where the dialogue is not just a vehicle for plot. It's an essential part of what makes the characters so memorable and the world so immersive. Frozen 2 operates within the family adventure and fantasy genre, but what makes it stand out is how it both embraces and subtly challenges the conventions of that genre. Typically, in animated fantasy films aimed at families, you expect a clear-cut journey where the protagonist fights an external villain, faces obstacles, and returns home victorious. Frozen 2 takes a more introspective path. There isn't a traditional villain to defeat. Instead, the biggest battles are internal. Elsa fighting to understand her identity and destiny, Anna grappling with the fear of change and the weight of responsibility, and Olaf wrestling with the uncertainty of growing up. This alone shifts the film away from conventional genre storytelling, where an obvious evil force often drives the plot. Here, the story leans into themes of self-discovery, personal growth, and confronting historical truths rather than focusing on an external antagonist. Even though the film doesn't feature large-scale fight scenes or extended action sequences like some fantasy adventures, it still delivers a strong sense of adventure and suspense through its pacing, set pieces, and emotional stakes. The enchanted forest, the raging seas, and the earth giants offer moments of thrilling tension that don't rely on violence, but on characters navigating their fears, solving puzzles, and making bold, often self-sacrificial choices. These moments bring the adventure genre to life, but in a way that feels fresh and emotionally driven rather than formulaic. When it comes to humor, Frozen 2 manages to blend it seamlessly with the story's more serious tone. Olaf's self-aware comedy is sharper in this installment, and his existential musings about growing up and the nature of change are both hilarious and surprisingly deep. The film plays with the genre expectation that the comic relief character is just there for laughs, but Olaf's role is more than that. He delivers some of the film's most poignant reflections through his humorous lens. This twist on the standard comic relief is a clever subversion of genre norms, giving the humor more narrative weight without losing its lightheartedness. The musical elements of Frozen 2 are another key part of its genre execution. In many family fantasies, songs can feel like brief, entertaining pauses in the story, but in Frozen 2, the songs are the story. They drive the plot, reveal character motivations, and explore emotional layers. Elsa's Into the Unknown and Show Yourself are not just catchy numbers, they are essential to her journey. Anna's The Next Right Thing is a powerful moment that defies the genre's usual optimistic, solution-driven songs and instead focuses on the raw, step-by-step process of surviving grief and uncertainty. Kristoff's Lost in the Woods is a playful genre twist, leaning into an 80s power ballad style that completely surprises the audience in a fantasy film. It's a bold, almost jarring shift in tone that somehow works perfectly, because the film is confident in embracing humor, while still honoring Kristoff's emotional journey. The film also brings in elements from mythological and folklore traditions that aren't often deeply explored in mainstream animated films. The elemental spirits, the voice calling Elsa, the legend of Ahriman. These mythic structures give the story a timeless, almost ancient feel, making the fantasy world feel richer and more layered. Instead of recycling familiar tropes like fairy godmothers, dragons, or evil sorcerers, Frozen 2 introduces its own unique magical system, deeply tied to nature and history. This makes the fantasy feel more original, and less dependent on overused genre staples. While Frozen 2 follows some expected beats, a call to adventure, a journey into the unknown, a triumphant return, it continually complicates those moments with emotional depth and character-driven twists. Elsa doesn't return to her kingdom to rule. She realizes her path lies elsewhere. Anna doesn't just follow in Elsa's footsteps, she steps into her own leadership role. Olaf doesn't remain a naive sidekick. He grows in his understanding of life's complexities. These are not the usual conclusions in a family fantasy, where characters often end right back where they started, simply wiser or stronger. Frozen 2 refuses to reset the status quo, allowing change to be permanent, which is a bold choice within its genre. The film does occasionally dip into familiar territory. There are still grand journeys, magical creatures, and sweeping musical moments that feel comfortably within the Disney formula. However, it twists these elements just enough to feel like a fresh evolution rather than a simple repetition. The moments of danger, such as Elsa taming the Knock or Anna confronting the dam's destruction, are crafted to generate suspense without relying on typical battles or last-minute saves. Instead, the tension comes from whether the characters will trust themselves and each other to make the right, though difficult, choices. Frozen 2 ultimately balances its adventure, humor, emotional drama, and fantasy in a way that feels layered and engaging. It honors the expectations of its genre, giving the audience magical worlds, sweeping songs, lovable characters, and thrilling moments, but also challenges those expectations by focusing on internal conflicts, personal growth, and themes of historical accountability. It doesn't offer simple answers or perfect fairy tale resolutions. Instead, it presents a world where understanding the past, accepting change, and finding your place in a larger story are the true rewards. This blend of tradition and innovation is what makes its genre execution stand out, offering audiences both the comfort of familiar beats and the excitement of something new. Frozen 2 carries much more social and cultural weight than its predecessor, subtly weaving in themes that reflect real-world issues like historical accountability, environmental respect, colonialism, personal responsibility, and the complexity of growing up in a world shaped by past mistakes. What's fascinating is how these themes are layered into the story in a way that feels organic rather than preachy. The film doesn't pause to deliver grand statements, but as the narrative unfolds, it invites the audience, especially young viewers, to start thinking critically about history, leadership, and what it really means to do the right thing. One of the most striking elements is the film's exploration of historical revisionism. Through the discovery of Arendelle's betrayal of the Northuldra people, Frozen 2 directly touches on the idea that the history we've been told is often incomplete or shaped by those in power. The story forces Anna and Elsa to confront the reality that their grandfather, a ruler they had no reason to question, committed a grave injustice under the guise of building peace. This is a bold direction for a Disney film, as it subtly encourages viewers to question dominant historical narratives and to dig deeper, to listen to marginalized voices, and to seek out hidden truths. The story doesn't give an easy fix. Anna must make the painful choice to dismantle the dam, a symbol of that betrayal, even though it risks destroying her own kingdom. This act of tearing down an oppressive structure to right an old wrong is a clear nod to the ongoing global conversations about how societies confront their colonial pasts. The film also emphasizes the importance of environmental balance. The elemental spirits, earth, fire, water, and air, are not just magical beings for spectacle. They represent the delicate relationship between people and nature, and the imbalance caused by human greed is what sparks the entire conflict. By centering the narrative around repairing the harm done to the land and restoring the harmony between people and the natural world, Frozen 2 gently presses on themes of environmental stewardship and respect for indigenous knowledge. The Northuldra people's connection to the elements and their deep understanding of the forest serve as a respectful acknowledgement of indigenous cultures and their role as caretakers of the natural world. The film doesn't turn them into mystical props. They are presented as equals, with a culture that values harmony over conquest. The portrayal of the Northuldra is handled with notable care. Unlike older animated films that often depicted indigenous groups through harmful stereotypes, Frozen 2 treats the Northuldra with dignity and agency. They are not passive victims waiting for the protagonists to save them. They are protectors of their home, and their history is central to resolving the conflict. The inclusion of these characters feels like a deliberate step toward more thoughtful and inclusive storytelling. It shows that even in a fantasy setting, the narratives of indigenous peoples deserve space and authenticity. Another layer of social commentary emerges through Olaf's existential journey. His humorous obsession with change and growing up mirrors the anxieties of many young people facing an unpredictable world. His questions about why things happen, whether change is good or bad, and what will remain constant as he grows older are deeply relatable. Olaf's curiosity and confusion echo the kind of philosophical questions that children are often expected to grow out of, but never fully stop asking. His role in the film subtly validates those questions, suggesting that it's okay to not have all the answers, and that seeking understanding is a lifelong process. Elsa's personal arc speaks to issues of identity, belonging, and the search for one's true self, which resonates strongly with audiences navigating questions of cultural heritage, self-acceptance, and even queerness. Though the film never explicitly labels Elsa in any particular way, her journey to Otahallan to uncover the source of her power is not just a fantasy quest. It's a search for truth, for authenticity, for the freedom to live fully as who she is. The way Elsa's story is written leaves space for diverse interpretations, which has allowed many viewers to see her as a symbol for those finding their place outside traditional norms and expectations. Anna's journey, on the other hand, speaks volumes about leadership and responsibility. She has to step into a role of power not because she is the strongest or most magical, but because she understands that leadership is about making hard choices and caring for her people. The film doesn't shy away from showing the weight of this responsibility. Her decision to destroy the dam isn't just brave, it's morally complicated. She's forced to act for the greater good, even though the personal cost could be enormous. This sends a powerful message about what it really means to lead with integrity and courage. Even Kristoff's subplot offers subtle commentary on masculinity. In many adventure films, male characters are often defined by their ability to protect or control the situation. Kristoff's journey is refreshingly different. He spends much of the film simply trying to propose to Anna, and when he finally finds her in a moment of danger, he doesn't swoop in to save the day. Instead, he asks her, "What do you need?" This small but significant moment flips the typical narrative about gender roles and relationships, presenting a version of love that's based on support, partnership, and mutual respect rather than heroics. The film also touches on themes of grief, uncertainty, and the painful process of moving forward when things fall apart. Anna's song, "The Next Right Thing," perfectly captures the emotional weight of these themes. It acknowledges that sometimes, the only thing we can do is take one small step forward, even when we feel completely lost. It's a quietly radical message for a family film because it embraces the idea that pain and uncertainty don't always resolve quickly or neatly. Overall, Frozen 2 carefully folds its social and cultural commentary into the fabric of its story. It never stops to deliver overt lectures or heavy-handed speeches. Instead, it trusts the audience to engage with these themes as they are revealed through character choices, world-building, and plot developments. The film invites viewers to question history, embrace change, confront uncomfortable truths, and consider what it really means to do the right thing. Not just for themselves, but for the communities and worlds they live in. Through all this, Frozen 2 manages to be both entertaining and quietly thought-provoking, offering a depth that gives families something to discuss long after the credits roll. Frozen 2 has a special ability to pull its audience right into the heart of its story, and keep them emotionally connected throughout the entire journey. This is not a film that simply passes by as a light, forgettable experience. It taps into real emotions and sparks reactions that can range from genuine laughter to unexpected tears, often in the same scene. It's the kind of movie that invites audiences to lean forward, to care deeply about the characters, and to feel like they are walking alongside Anna, Elsa, Olaf, Kristoff, and Sven every step of the way. Whether it's the thrill of venturing into the enchanted forest, the bittersweet pang of Olaf's reflections on change, or the gut-punch moment when Elsa is separated from Anna, the film knows how to push emotional buttons in a way that feels authentic and never manipulative. One of the key strengths of Frozen 2 when it comes to audience engagement is how it balances humor and heaviness. Olaf, with his wide-eyed curiosity and hilarious misinterpretations of the world, provides constant comic relief, but his role is never just to be funny. His musings about growing up and the strange changes happening around him strike a chord with both children and adults who understand that sense of uncertainty all too well. His retelling of the events of the first film, in a rushed and overly dramatic fashion, is a perfect comedic moment that had audiences laughing out loud in theaters. It's a scene people love to revisit, not just because it's funny, but because it cleverly bridges the two films and pokes gentle fun at itself. Elsa's powerful ballad, "Into the Unknown," is one of those cinematic moments that instantly grabs the audience's attention. It's not just a song, it's a declaration, a leap into uncertainty, a moment that demands to be felt. It hits that sweet spot where the music, the visuals, and the emotional stakes collide, creating a scene that sticks with viewers long after the movie ends. For many fans, it's a scene that practically begs for repeat viewings just to experience that rush all over again. And then there's Anna's solo, "The Next Right Thing," which delivers an emotionally raw, quiet moment that speaks to anyone who has ever faced grief, fear, or loss. It's a deeply personal song, and it resonates because it doesn't sugarcoat the difficulty of moving forward when everything seems to be falling apart. This honesty is what makes the audience lean in. It feels real. The bond between Anna and Elsa continues to be one of the most emotionally engaging aspects of the film. Their relationship has always been at the core of Frozen, but Frozen 2 takes it deeper by allowing them to grow in different directions while still being tethered by their love for each other. When Elsa makes the choice to pursue her path alone, it stirs a complex mix of pride, fear, and sadness for both Anna and the audience. It's not a typical adventure film where the heroes stick together no matter what. Here, they must trust each other to walk separate but equally important paths. This idea resonates with audiences because it reflects real-life relationships. Sometimes love means letting go and supporting someone's individual journey. Kristoff's journey, surprisingly, also captures the audience's attention in a unique way. His awkward, sweet attempts to propose to Anna provide humor, but also a sincere portrayal of modern love. His insecurities and his gentle, supportive nature challenge the idea of the traditional fairy tale prince. When he arrives just in time to help Anna and says, "I'm here. What do you need?" It's a moment that resonates because it feels like the kind of partnership many people aspire to. That line has become memorable for many viewers because it flips the expected heroic rescue into something more respectful and emotionally intelligent. The film's deeper themes, personal growth, historical accountability, change, and environmental balance, invite audiences to think and talk about the story long after the credits roll. It's not just a visual spectacle, it sparks conversation. Viewers discuss the moral complexity of Anna's decision to destroy the dam, the hidden meanings behind Elsa's search for her identity, and the way the story quietly acknowledges the impact of colonialism. These are the kinds of layers that make audiences want to come back, to watch again with fresh eyes, to pick up on details they may have missed the first time. Even the youngest viewers find themselves deeply engaged. Children connect with the magic, the songs, and the humor, but they also feel the weight of Anna and Elsa's struggles. They may not be able to articulate it in complex terms, but the emotional impact is there. And for adults, there's something quietly powerful about how the film addresses the idea of growing older, of learning that life doesn't always have easy answers, and that sometimes, doing the next right thing is the best you can do. Frozen 2 succeeds in creating moments that spark joy, wonder, and emotional connection. It's not a film that fades quickly from memory. Instead, it invites the audience to return again and again, to sing along, to laugh at Olaf's antics, to feel the tug of Anna's resilience, and to marvel at Elsa's journey of self-discovery. It's a story that pulls people in with big moments and holds them there with intimate, personal truths, creating an experience that lingers and invites thoughtful reflection with every revisit. When comparing Frozen 2 to other films in the animated musical genre, especially within the Disney universe, it carves out a space that feels both familiar and refreshingly ambitious. It carries the DNA of classic Disney princess films, but it pushes the formula in ways that are noticeably more mature, emotionally complex, and thematically daring. Traditional Disney princess stories often revolve around finding love or escaping danger with the help of a prince, but Frozen 2 doesn't lean on those old blueprints. Instead, it dives deeper into personal identity, sisterhood, responsibility, and the courage to face uncomfortable truths. When placed next to its predecessor, Frozen, the differences become clear. The first film is about breaking away from conventional fairy tale expectations and focusing on the power of familial love rather than romantic love, which was already a refreshing twist. Frozen 2 takes that foundation and builds upon it, offering a sequel that is less about surprise plot twists and more about inner journeys. The stakes in Frozen were immediate, saving Anna and Arendelle from Elsa's unintended eternal winter. In Frozen 2, the stakes are more existential, focused on uncovering hidden histories, confronting ancestral mistakes, and understanding personal purpose. It's a sequel that doesn't simply repeat the beats of the original, but expands the world and its emotional depth. When compared to other Disney sequels like The Lion King 2, Aladdin and the King of Thieves, or Finding Dory, Frozen 2 stands out because it doesn't feel like a side story or a cash grab continuation. Many sequels tend to retread familiar ground, sometimes recycling themes and storylines with minor adjustments. Frozen 2 instead offers new lore, new characters, and significant evolution for its leads. Where Finding Dory recentered its story around a previously supporting character, but leaned heavily on nostalgia, Frozen 2 gives each returning character a personal growth arc that feels earned and necessary. Unlike sequels that rely solely on the charm of the original, Frozen 2 justifies its existence by bringing something genuinely new to the table, both visually and narratively. If we compare Frozen 2 to other Disney fantasy adventures like Moana, Tangled, or Raya and the Last Dragon, It holds its ground but also reveals a different kind of energy. Moana shares a similar sense of personal discovery and connection to ancient forces, but while Moana embraces an outwardly adventurous tone, Frozen 2 turns much of its exploration inward, focusing on Elsa's emotional isolation and Anna's perseverance. Tangled is more about liberation from physical entrapment and finding freedom in the world, while Frozen 2 is about seeking freedom within oneself. Raya and the Last Dragon centers around trust and unity, but Frozen 2 deals with untangling complicated family histories and bearing the weight of generational responsibility. Each film excels in its own right, but Frozen 2 stands out for how much thematic layering it packs into its fantasy adventure framework. In the wider animation genre, if you stack Frozen 2 next to Pixar's emotionally sophisticated films like Inside Out or Coco, it begins to feel like a bridge between classic Disney storytelling and Pixar's more nuanced, introspective narratives. Pixar has always been known for tackling big emotions and existential questions in surprisingly accessible ways. Frozen 2 taps into this territory, especially with Anna's solo, The Next Right Thing, which feels like it could belong in a Pixar film with its quiet depth and refusal to offer easy answers. Unlike more formulaic animated sequels that play it safe, Frozen 2 is unafraid to lean into moments of ambiguity and emotional discomfort, something Pixar does masterfully. From a musical perspective, compared to the powerhouse success of Frozen's Let It Go, Frozen 2 carries the weight of expectations for its soundtrack and delivers in a way that feels both familiar and elevated. Songs like Into the Unknown follow the blueprint of the big, soaring anthem, but there's a complexity to the melodies and the themes that show a desire to mature alongside the audience. When looking at the broader Disney musical tradition that includes The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King, Frozen 2 shows that Disney has evolved from simply crafting catchy songs to using music as a narrative device that actively moves the story forward and deepens character exploration. Even when compared to other films directed by Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee, such as the original Frozen and Tarzan, Frozen 2 feels like a more ambitious, layered project. While Tarzan used Phil Collins' music to emotionally charge the story, Frozen 2 uses its songs in a way that feels almost theatrical, like the numbers could hold their weight on a Broadway stage. There's a sense that the directors were reaching for something grander, not just visually but thematically. So when you line Frozen 2 up against its Disney peers, its animated contemporaries, and even its own franchise, it stands tall as a sequel that doesn't settle for just revisiting what worked the first time. It feels like a natural evolution, a bold step into more complex territory, and a film that trusts its audience to follow along on a more challenging, introspective journey while still delivering the magic, humor, and wonder that Disney is known for. Frozen 2 is layered with symbolism and metaphors that go far beyond its surface as a magical adventure. From the very beginning, the film hints that this is not just a story about enchanted forests and elemental spirits, but a deeper exploration of identity, memory, grief, and personal truth, all wrapped in carefully placed visual and narrative symbols. One of the most central symbols in the film is the voice that calls Elsa. On the surface, it's simply a mysterious sound leading her on a quest, but symbolically, it represents the internal call we all feel to discover who we truly are and where we come from. It's a manifestation of the subconscious pull toward understanding the self and the hidden histories that shape us. The voice is not a danger, it's an invitation, and it symbolizes how sometimes the unknown is not something to fear, but something to embrace. The four elemental spirits, earth, fire, water, and air, are also more than just fantasy devices. They are symbolic representations of balance, the forces that shape life, and the complex harmony required to maintain peace within ourselves and the world around us. Elsa's connection to these elements suggests that understanding one's identity is not a simple, isolated process. It's about recognizing how you interact with the world and the forces that have influenced your life. The dam built by Arendelle's ancestors serves as a powerful metaphor for hidden history and buried guilt. It looks like a gift on the surface, a symbol of progress and peace, but in reality, it's a monument to betrayal and injustice. The destruction of the dam isn't just a plot device to free the forest. It's a symbolic act of tearing down the lies that have propped up an unearned legacy. It suggests that healing comes only when we confront uncomfortable truths and dismantle the structures that have caused harm, even if those structures benefit us. Elsa's journey into Idina, the river of memories, is another layer rich with symbolism. Water in this film is not just an element, it's memory itself. The idea that water has memory runs through the entire film like a quiet pulse, serving as a metaphor for how the past lives within us and how memory can both guide and haunt us. Idina is not just a magical glacier, it's Elsa's subconscious, her innermost fears and truths crystallized into physical form. When Elsa discovers that she is the fifth spirit, the bridge between the magical and the human worlds, it isn't just a narrative twist, it's the revelation that she has always been the answer she was seeking. She is the balance, the connection, the missing piece, which symbolically underscores the idea that sometimes we spend our lives searching for something outside of ourselves when the truth was within us all along. Even Olaf, often seen as the comic relief, carries symbolic weight. His musings about change and his fear of the unknown represent the human struggle to accept that nothing stays the same. His temporary disintegration is a painful but beautiful metaphor for how change often feels like loss, yet it's necessary for growth. Anna's journey is rich with symbolic choices as well. Her song, The Next Right Thing, is more than a moment of grief. It's a declaration that when everything falls apart, the only way forward is to focus on one step at a time. This isn't just about bravery, it's about resilience, and that's a powerful metaphor for dealing with depression, trauma, and uncertainty in real life. The recurring motif of the diamond-shaped symbol, which represents the four elements and Elsa herself as the fifth spirit, ties everything together. It appears in the enchanted forest, in Arendelle's palace, and in the cave where Elsa learns the truth. It's a constant reminder that everything is connected, and that the balance between past and present, between magic and humanity, must be carefully maintained. The change in seasons from autumn to winter and back again mirrors the emotional journey of the characters. Autumn is a season of transformation and preparation for the harshness of winter, and the film's autumnal setting symbolizes a world on the brink of change. It's not just a pretty backdrop, it's a visual metaphor for the transition from comfort to challenge, from certainty to discovery. Even Kristoff's subplot about finding the right time to propose to Anna can be seen as a metaphor for timing in relationships, and understanding when someone is ready to accept love. It's a gentle reminder that true support sometimes means stepping back and allowing others to face their own battles first. Frozen 2 doesn't just tell a story. It layers its narrative with visual cues, recurring shapes, elemental symbols, and thematic metaphors that give the film a richness beyond its dialogue. These symbols work quietly but effectively to reinforce the central ideas about truth, change, connection, and the courage to step into the unknown. They turn the film into more than just an adventure. It becomes a tapestry of meaning that invites viewers to explore and reflect long after the credits roll. Frozen 2 stands as a fascinating continuation of the Frozen franchise, not just repeating the magic of the first film but expanding its world, deepening its mythology, and challenging its characters in new ways. When Frozen was first released, it was a massive cultural phenomenon that redefined what audiences expected from a Disney princess story. It broke the mold by focusing on sisterhood instead of romance, and Frozen 2 takes that foundation and boldly ventures into more complex and mature territory. It doesn't try to merely echo the charm of the original. It actively pushes the narrative forward, exploring the consequences of the choices made in the first film, and opening up the universe to new cultural and elemental dimensions. The sequel shifts the focus from a local kingdom to a broader, interconnected world where past actions ripple into the present. It introduces the enchanted forest and the Northuldra people, adding layers of historical context that feel inspired by real-world indigenous cultures. The film doesn't pretend that Arendelle's history is spotless. In fact, it leans into the idea that sometimes beloved traditions and stories have roots in acts of betrayal and injustice. By doing so, Frozen 2 bravely dives into the conversation about colonialism and historical accountability, something rarely addressed so directly in Disney's animated canon. This self-awareness adds a richness to the franchise that makes it stand apart from many other Disney sequels, which often recycle the same beats. When viewed as part of the larger franchise, Frozen 2 serves as the emotional and thematic evolution of its characters. Elsa's journey in the first film was about learning to stop hiding her powers out of fear. In the sequel, her journey is about learning to stop defining herself by other people's expectations. She is no longer running from herself, but instead stepping into her true identity, and realizing that her place is not as a queen confined within castle walls, but as a bridge between two worlds. This growth feels like a natural, necessary step that gives the franchise depth and progression rather than feeling like a retread. Anna's arc also matures within the context of the franchise. Initially the more impulsive, love-struck sister, Anna now confronts devastating loss and the heavy responsibility of leadership. The film gives her the space to grow into her role, preparing her to rule Arendelle with wisdom and compassion. Her path complements Elsa's beautifully, as the two sisters gradually understand that their destinies, though forever intertwined by love, must lead them in different directions. This evolution within the franchise makes their individual stories more satisfying, because they are no longer simply about being together. They're about supporting each other's need to grow separately. The film also revisits key motifs from the first movie and expands them. Olaf's humorous observations about the world now carry more weight, as he represents the audience's voice of curiosity and confusion in a rapidly changing story. Kristoff's subplot about finding his place in Anna's life continues the franchise's effort to present emotionally healthy male characters who are supportive and patient. These narrative threads contribute to a sequel that feels like a deliberate continuation rather than a cash-in follow-up. Musically, Frozen 2 builds on the iconic foundation laid by the first film's songs, but ventures into more introspective and emotionally layered territory. Where Let It Go became a cultural anthem, songs like Into the Unknown and Show Yourself explore themes of personal truth and the search for identity on a grander, more spiritual scale. These songs are not just catchy, they are narrative pillars that elevate the storytelling across the franchise. They mark a tonal shift that signals to audiences that Frozen 2 is not simply about creating another earworm. It's about deepening the emotional journey. The introduction of the elemental spirits and the backstory of Elsa and Anna's parents retroactively enrich the first film. What seemed like a simple accident at sea in Frozen now becomes part of a larger puzzle, giving audiences a more textured understanding of their family's past and the mystical forces that shaped their lives. The franchise's commitment to revealing hidden layers keeps the world feeling alive and full of discovery, making each rewatch more rewarding. In the landscape of Disney sequels, Frozen 2 holds a special place because it doesn't just continue a story, it grows it, complicates it, and dares to question the legends that the first film built. It acknowledges that happily ever after isn't a final destination, but a moment on a much longer road, one filled with uncertainties, truths to uncover, and histories to correct. This layered storytelling solidifies Frozen 2 as a sequel that respects its predecessor while confidently charting its own path, ensuring the Frozen franchise remains both emotionally resonant and culturally significant. Frozen 2 was not just a movie, it was a financial juggernaut, a box office phenomenon that reminded the world just how powerful Disney's storytelling machine could be. The film had a reported production budget of around $150 million, which is quite substantial even by Disney standards. But when you look at what the filmmakers delivered on screen, from breathtaking animation to intricate visual effects and top-tier voice talent, every dollar seems well accounted for. The sheer scale of the film, with its sweeping landscapes, magical elements, and complex musical sequences, reflects a production that spared no expense to create an immersive experience. It's not just about flashy visuals. It's about building a believable world that feels even more expansive and magical than in the first film. The budget also allowed for top-quality sound design, a richly orchestrated musical score, and a lengthy development process to perfect every frame. Disney didn't rush Frozen 2 to theaters. They invested time, talent, and money to ensure that the sequel would not just live up to its predecessor but, in many ways, exceeded in visual sophistication. When you watch the mist-filled forests, the dynamic water simulations, and the dazzling elemental effects, you can almost feel the weight of the budget in every carefully rendered detail. On the box office front, Frozen 2 was nothing short of a colossal success. It opened to huge global anticipation and quickly shattered records for an animated film. The movie went on to gross over $1.45 billion worldwide, making it the highest-grossing animated film of all time at the time of its release. That's not just successful, that's history-making. The box office momentum was driven by a perfect storm of factors. The loyalty of fans who adored the first film, the global popularity of the Frozen brand, Disney's marketing muscle, and the universal appeal of the story's themes of self-discovery, family, and adventure. Marketing played a massive role in Frozen 2's financial dominance. Disney orchestrated a campaign that felt omnipresent, from trailers and exclusive song previews to merchandise that blanketed toy stores and clothing racks around the world. The anticipation was built not only through traditional advertising, but also through carefully timed music releases and sneak peeks that reignited Frozen mania years after the original's debut. When the film finally hit theaters, it rode a wave of multi-generational excitement, with kids, parents, and longtime Disney fans showing up in droves. Audience reception also fueled its box office stamina. The sequel managed to satisfy both returning fans and new viewers, creating a kind of cultural event where people wanted to experience the film in theaters, sometimes more than once. Word of mouth, repeat viewings, and the timeless appeal of Disney's musical storytelling all contributed to a film that didn't just open big, but sustained its earnings week after week. Unlike some blockbusters that fizzle out after opening weekend, Frozen 2 had staying power because it delivered an emotional, visually stunning journey that resonated across ages and cultures. Interestingly, while Frozen 2 had an enormous budget, it didn't fall into the trap of feeling like an overproduced, hollow sequel. Every cent was poured back into the story, the world building, and the audience experience. It wasn't just about making something bigger. It was about making something richer, something that felt like a genuine next chapter rather than a cash grab. The combination of careful financial investment, strategic marketing, global appeal, and strong audience connection made Frozen 2 not just a financial success, but a cultural event that dominated box office charts and toy aisles alike. The film's massive box office haul wasn't just a number. It was a testament to the story's ability to draw people back into the magical world of Arendelle and beyond. If you're ready to dive into the magical world of Frozen 2, the great news is that this cinematic adventure is widely available and easy to access. The film originally made its grand entrance in theaters, and for those who were lucky enough to catch it on the big screen, it was an unforgettable visual spectacle. The towering ice structures, the swirling autumn leaves, and the vast enchanted forests all looked larger than life, making the theatrical experience something truly special. The surround sound, the booming orchestral music, and the collective gasps and laughs of the audience added an extra layer of magic that perfectly matched the scale of the story. But even though the theatrical run is over, Frozen 2 has found a second life on streaming platforms, with Disney Plus being its main home. Since Disney owns the film, it's now a permanent resident on Disney Plus, ready to stream in high definition anytime, anywhere. This is the best place to watch it now because you get access to all the extra features, behind-the-scenes footage, deleted scenes, and sing-along versions that turn an ordinary movie night into a full Frozen experience. Streaming it on Disney Plus gives you the flexibility to pause, rewind, and of course sing into the unknown, as loudly as you like, whether you're in the middle of a family gathering or curled up on the couch alone. For those who love to collect physical copies, Frozen 2 is also available on Blu-ray and DVD, which comes packed with bonus content like filmmaker commentaries, storyboards, and making of documentaries that dive deep into the creative process behind the film. Owning the movie physically means you get to experience it without depending on an internet connection, and you can appreciate the stunning animation in the highest quality your home system can deliver. If streaming or physical copies aren't your thing, digital rental and purchase options are available on platforms like Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, Google Play, and other digital marketplaces. These options are great if you're looking to watch the film on the go, maybe during a long trip or as part of a quick weekend movie marathon. With digital versions, you can also watch it across multiple devices, start on your smart TV, pick up on your tablet, and finish on your phone without missing a beat. While you can certainly enjoy Frozen 2 on smaller screens, it's the kind of movie that really shines on the biggest screen you can find. The sweeping cinematography, the rich sound design, and the detailed animation feel more immersive when you can see every swirling snowflake and hear every whisper of the enchanted forest. If you have access to a home theater setup or even a good-sized TV with quality speakers, you'll be able to feel the full emotional weight of the story and the grandeur of the visuals in a way that truly does the film justice. Whether you're watching it for the first time or revisiting it for the 10th, Frozen 2 is always just a few clicks away. With streaming platforms like Disney+, digital rentals, and Blu-ray options at your fingertips, there's no shortage of ways to journey back to Arendelle and explore the mysteries that lie beyond the kingdom's borders. No matter how you choose to watch, the magic of Frozen 2 is always ready to pull you into its beautifully crafted world.